So, hello everyone, and may I ask you to take their seats now? You can grab your drinks and snacks with you, so it would be more easy for the speakers to speak. Otherwise, there will be a lot of chat going around. And I think we're going live also quite soon, just waiting for the... Oleme. Okay, so welcome everyone online as well as on site. We had over 100 people registered to the event, which is really great. And I saw people joining online from Nordics, Baltics, US, UK, Luxembourg. So welcome and so great to have you. So just a few words on the intro side. Some of you may have already been in this type of event. We're doing it each year. So we're giving word to our funds about their last year. But before that, we will do a small intro about the main things in EstVCA we did in just a few minutes. I am Kadri Lindpere, in case you might not know me. I'm the Managing Director of EstVCA, and I have my super cool colleague here. She can introduce herself.
Yes, I'm Marian Kosankranius, and I'm Operations Coordinator, so I'm helping Kadri with everything she needs.
Yes, so Mariana is with us now almost half or even more than half a year. Yeah. So about some technicalities. In the audience here, we will have a mic, so in case you have questions for the funds, we will have a few minutes for the questions after each presentation. In case you're online in YouTube, then you can put your question in the YouTube chat, and we will see the questions from there. So I think we can start, right? Yes, so this is our biggest news from last year for me. So I'm not alone anymore. We have Marianna with me. So our team is growing. We can do bigger things and more things, and I'm really happy about that. And maybe the second, I think, largest and so good was to see Martin Hendre also here, who started the project with EstVCA. So we're doing it for the second year this time. We're starting the university syllabus together with Taltech and Estonian Business School. And in case you want to join in, you can. So Taltech starts tomorrow, and the Estonian Business School starts on the 8th of March, so in 1 month.
Yes, and one of the big achievements is also our podcast launch, LP Insights it's called. And right now we have 5 episodes already. I hope you'll listen to them, or if you haven't, then please find your platform. Is it Spotify or other platforms? Then please give it a try.
So the fourth definitely big thing we did was Estonian delegation in the US together with Estonian president who joined us for Texas part. And we've talked quite a bit about that, but so many of you also joined there.
And then we also, this is huge for us, we launched the Nordic VC Masterclass series. We had already our first masterclass, and this was Deep Tech Fund View. And next one, we'll be announcing the date in a few days, so keep an eye on your mailbox or our webpage. And this will be on the diversity matters.
And one thing just to save the date, we haven't sent it out yet, but we'll do soon. So the Baltic VCA Summit is in its organizing process at the moment, and just say the date for 24th and 25th of August. It will be in Pärnu, and it will be big. It will be the largest regional LPGP event, as many of you may know. Excited about that. And now we will start the pitching of the funds. So let us get rolling with the first fund, which will be BaltCap, and I will ask now Christian to join us on stage. Just a few seconds it will take to add your slides on, and then we will leave it to it.
Tere! Ma arvan, et pitchima midagi siin ei pea, aga yes, so Thank you. So I don't think we have to pitch on this event our funds or anything to each other, but it's I think for me this evening when we share what our members do and have done last year is always most interesting, because we can feel what is happening on the market. We can see what the members are doing, how many exits, how many new investments, and get a better grip on the Baltic markets. So about Baltcap, so not much has changed. The track record grows each year by 1 year, so it's now 27 years. So we have around 40 professionals on our team, so it's pretty substantial. So the team is located now in Helsinki, Stockholm, Riga, Vilnius, Tallinn and Warsaw. We have raised around 700 million and have around 65 different investors in 4 strategies. So the strategies are still the same: buyout, growth, infrastructure and venture capital. And that's my last and most important slide. So last year we did 4 exits. In 2021 we did, if I'm correct, 11 exits, so it was a record year, so much less than in 2021, but still a few. 2023, I'm sure we will have some exits. Discussions are ongoing. We'll see. We also have done a few new investments. Maybe one of the most visible in Lithuania and Estonia has been the book stores Alma Litera and Rahva Raamat. So it seems that in both cases, especially in Estonia, it's like a people's brand. We do not own it. It's owned by people. Everybody comments what books we should sell there and how shall we sell there. So it's a very old brand, and we are kind of keepers of a brand rather than temporary investors. And then we invested also to Adoro, that is a Latvian elderly care home. We have also leading elderly care chains in Estonia and Lithuania beforehand. So in growth we have invested into veterinary clinics in Lithuania and Estonia, and also a small investment into Nord Security. So infrastructure, we are developing now wind farms and solar farms on top of the schools and PPPs, etc., etc. And in venture, we were not very active last year, so we did 2 new investments. So most of the portfolio is already from 2020, 2021, so we were relatively passive. So yeah, so that's shortly how 2022 looked like from our perspective.
Thanks, Christian. So I will first give word to the audience. Do you have any questions for him? People are just, warming up. I definitely have a question for you. It would be interesting to learn a bit about exit routes maybe. You said 2022 that you did 4, but before that you did more, so you have a good comparison. Have the exit routes changed? Are they changing? They definitely are, but what are the sort of biggest challenges there?
Yes, so we pretty much sold most of our buyout portfolio in 2021, so there was not much left actually, so we couldn't sell more in 2022. But I would maybe make a general note on the exits, because like we go to investor conferences and hear about what's happening around us, and And it seems that while buyout as a strategy and growth are pretty good in exits in general, then venture capital should also start showing more exits, especially in Europe. And that's what I'm now hearing about, not our managers, but like in general in Europe, that the liquidity is not yet kind of coming.
Sure. Thanks. So any more questions from here? Yes, super. I will give you a mic because other ones in online can't hear you.
Thank you. How has the current situation kind of changed the way you do deals in private equity? What I mean is that when you make investments, have the valuation changed? How are the expectations changed by the market players and so on?
It's actually quite interesting what's happening, because we are in the middle of raising interest rates, but at the same time still very high liquidity and a lot of dry powder. So we are like in between, some people having like a liquidity crunch type of thing. Maybe we see even some corporates that have over leveraged and they need to start carving out or exiting some of their assets because they have too much leverage. At the same time, if you think so, and it concerns also our members, a lot of new money was raised in 2021, 2022. So all of its commitments and liquidity is still there. So that if you have a very good asset, still there are buyers around and there is liquidity around. So it's not like everybody feels a crunch. There are some who have crunch and some who are sitting on record amounts of liquidity actually.
Thank you. Any more questions from the audience? I don't see, so let us move on. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you.
And I would now like to ask Kalmer Kikas from BPM Capital to join me on stage. Sa saad vaadata oma slaide sealt. Ei pea selja taha vaatama ja sellega läheb edasi. Sa võid sealt küljest ka ära võtta.
So, yes, maybe you can hear me still, like Christian is a bit taller than me. So that I'm Kalmer Kikas, I'm representing here like BPM Capital. We are running and managing at the moment like two kind of mezzanine funds, BPM Mezzanine Fund 1 and BPM Mezzanine Fund 2. So that I will just give you a very brief overview of what we have done and what we are doing, so that from BPM Mezzanine Fund 1, we made like altogether like 10 investments, and as Christian mentioned before, like 2021, 2022, and for us also 2020, like COVID-19 year were all like very good like exit years. So that from our first fund portfolio, we have made so far 6 full exits, and we have made also on top of those 6 full exits also 2 partial exits. And actually from our first fund, the most recent partial exit just took place now on the last day of January this year. So that this environment still kind of enables to kind of make decent and very, very good, let's say, exits as well. What else? We are currently managing our second fund. We had like first closing for our BPM Mezzanine Fund 2, like actually like back at the end of March last year. So that our target size for the second fund was 70 million euros, but we managed to kind of have the first closing slightly below 60 million euros. And there were like different reasons why we didn't kind of manage to kind of achieve our target size. But we still are open for one subsequent closing, so that remains to be seen like how it goes. With our second fund, we basically continue a similar strategy as with our first fund. Our focus is on small and medium-sized companies and mid-cap companies across all 3 Baltic countries and Poland. And we are maybe in that sense different, let's say, kind of like maybe market participant, that we are looking at so you said old boring companies with already, let's say, decent kind of EBITDA levels, so that typically the company who could be like a perfect candidate for our portfolio should kind of be able to generate EBITDA at least 1 million euros per year and up from that level, so that then we can kind of consider it for our second fund. From our second fund, we have so far made only one investment. That was last year. We invested in a Latvian IT company called Digital Mind. We basically provided financing for them to kind of acquire a competitor in Lithuania. And right now, both companies have merged their operations and running very, let's say, successfully. So that digitalization definitely is one of the areas where the growth continues even in current, let's say, in current market environment. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So that if there are any questions, then feel free to ask now or afterwards.
Are there any questions? No. Okay, I'll be asking a question then for you. So as a PBM is the only fund in the region with mezzanine strategy, what does the mezzanine loan market and perspectives look like currently compared to past few years?
Well, in our regions, there are a few other, let's say, players as well. A few small players, one in Latvia, one in Lithuania, and then a few players in Poland as well. But the market definitely has changed. So that what we see is that basically currently on the market there is a bit like denial stage, that the private valuations are still high, but slowly kind of getting to more reasonable levels, so that there is going to be definitely like a certain adjustment. And second thing, what we see is that senior debt availability, which indeed it's very, let's say, dependent on sector and other kind of characteristics, but senior debt level as a generalization for SMEs and small mid-caps is, let's say, the debt EBITDA, senior debt EBITDA levels are definitely lower compared with what they used to be like a year ago and 2 years ago. And third thing, what already Christian also mentioned, is that Euribor levels are going up sharply. And if you look like back to the history, then back in 2000 and 2008, like Euribor levels were above 5% per year. So that I think we have still like maybe some room to grow here.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So before I introduce our next presenter, we also have a question from online. Kadri, could you read it?
I don't see. Christian, you're here. No? Christian?
Here.
Kalda, you're so close. Sorry, I didn't see you. There's one question online for you. Okay. So Alvar is asking, Alvar Soosar is asking, have exits been to other private equity firms, strategics, IPOs? If private equity firms or strategics, where are those companies based? Baltics, elsewhere in Europe, or even Asia, North America? Thank you, Alvar.
Okay. So thank you for the question. So very fast. I take together 2021, 2022. Actually, the exits have been of very high quality, and we have seen many buyers from outside the Baltics, international strategic investors. Very often, these strategic investors are in turn owned by the likes of CVC, Apax, KKR, etc. So very often behind this strategic is a venture capital firm expanding and taking the Baltics as part of their expansion story. There have been also pure strategic investors around, so I would say both routes. And these have been a pretty good years actually for exit, and a lot of interest also from outside. for a new year, I don't know. Let's see how it will pan out.
Thank you.
Yes, so next up we have Yrjö Ojasaar from Change Ventures, who will join us online.
See me also. The presentation is actually all about Fund 2, but we do have two funds. Our Fund 1, which also has a Baltic strategy, is an American fund. Quick summary about Fund 1 is that we are finally into the exit phase, and we've had two exits, which has pushed our TVPI above 3. And the best statistic, of course, is cash actually given back to the investors, and that's already over 2x as well. And the big successful companies like Interactio and those are still very much in play. So we're looking for substantially above 3 in terms of cash return to investors there. So very, very exciting year. But now on to 2022 in Fund 2. So if you could put on the next slide. That actually skipped. If you go back one, there you go. The new investments that we made in 2022 from Fund 2, we had 5 investments, new investments: Recruit Lab, Modash, Cloud Factory, Quota, and Verk. Really exciting pre-seed or seed, right on the border of pre-seed and seed type investments. So that has we've stayed very much in the game and kept making investments throughout the COVID era and really didn't slow down. So next slide. Next slide. Yep, there you go. These weren't new investments, but we're excited to have made investments into these companies earlier. And now this year, 2022, had 3 Series A raises that were all very successful. I'm sure you saw online very large rounds led by very reputable international VCs in Aurora, Planet 42, and Aerones. Together with those, we also did 3 SPVs, special purpose vehicles, where we were able to make investing available also to angels and those others that wanted to take part in those Series A investments. So next slide. So this is sort of the timeline. Our Fund 2 is a 2019 vintage fund. We are right at the end of our investment period. In fact, we are right in the process as we speak, closing on 2 more investments. And that would bring the total investments to 25 from Fund 2. And it will close out our investment period. So no new investments from Change Ventures Fund 2. Fund itself is a 2019 vintage fund. So as a typical 10-year fund, we will continue working on the fund until 2029. And next. In terms of staff changes, it was a pretty chaotic year. We've had from the partner side, Kartsilats leave us to look for a new fund that she wants to raise, as well as a senior associate. Gabriele went to work at APX in Amsterdam, and Kartrabis also has left the fund. So next. And that's basically been the year for Change Ventures. Questions? Well, this sounds like the typical Baltic event with no questions, but surely somebody's got something they want to know.
people would like to hear about it.
Sure. To be clear, like I said, the fund goes until 2029, and I'm staying with Change Ventures throughout till the end. Every portfolio company we've invested in, I continue to work with, and basically that work will continue because we'll still have quite a few follow-ons. But as far as Change Ventures 3, Andres and Wright will continue, and we are in the process of raising Change Ventures 3. I want to try something new. I really would like to focus more on late seed and Series A. And since Change Ventures 3 is going to be a pre-seed fund and a fairly small one, I don't think there'll be an opportunity for me to do those kinds of investments. Also, I'd like to expand the region a little bit. All I've been able to do so far is Estonian deals, but I see some really exciting projects in ex-CIS countries. I've seen some fantastic projects in Georgia, really great ones also in Moldova. And those countries and others like that are outside of basically everyone's investment region. So to me, it looks a lot like the Baltics about 10 years ago. A lot of opportunities there. So I am talking to some international funds about either joining them or maybe making an office, a Baltic office for one of those funds, or maybe raising my own. We've had a great time working with Gert Silats. I'd love to maybe team up with her and then Gabriele, and who knows, we might have a new fund.
Thank you. So now I would give word to the audience as well. I don't have any online questions at the moment. So yeah, Christian, just a sec, Yrjö.
Thanks. You mentioned this very impressive 3 times TVPI that you have. What were the key exits or fundraising deals that contributed to getting there?
Well, with 2 exits, one from Estonia and one from Latvia. Nordigen was the big one. I think the public information, as you know, with exits, parts of it are always confidential, but it was a 50 million or more exit, and that, of course, was very good for our investors in Fund 1, especially since it's an American fund and it works a little bit differently than the European funds where it's a deal-by-deal basis. So probably the more exciting part of the exits is that we actually have returned already over 200% to the investors. Because we don't, in US funds, you don't wait till the end, but as money comes in, you pay it out. And I can tell you, our limited partners are quite happy to be getting those types of returns during COVID time and during the hectic times that we are in right now.
Okay, thanks, Yrjö.
So do we have any more questions from the audience here? Still modest Baltic people. So thank you, Yrjö. It was great to have you online with us. And now I will introduce our next speaker, who will be Christian from EstVCA Capital. So we can ask all these questions about the real estate market from you, right? So you can take that mic and...
Hi. Can you hear me? Does it work? I feel a bit like ugly duckling here, right? Because I think I'm the only one representing real estate world, and especially when I heard those abbreviations, what was the TVPI and 3 times X's, and we don't use that kind of vocabulary in the real estate. We have a return, entrance return yields of 6 or 7% maybe, and those 3 times TVPIs are totally unknown for us. But okay, jokes aside, what I think what's the sort of now I have been in the real estate world for 2 years, and I would say that the biggest difference between managing real estate assets and managing private equity assets is the amount of leverage. That in the real estate, leverage is basically the thing what quite often determines the outcome, what you get. And since I'm the only one here representing real estate world, I'll do the presentation a bit differently. I give you a bit of a background, what has happened in the so-called leverage world in Europe around us, what is the environment surrounding us, and then also finish off with what we are doing in such an environment. Just to start with EstVCA Capital, we have roughly 500 million equity capital under management, and since I said real estate uses a lot of leverage, we have roughly 1 billion euros assets under management, so 50% leverage roughly. We are managing altogether 7 funds, 2 of them oriented towards retail clients and 5 of them oriented towards institutional clients. But okay, I'm trying to step aside a bit. So what really happened last year, or starting from last summer in Europe, was that when the central bank started hiking and the short-term interest rates started to go above 0, then the most asset-intense sectors were the ones which suffered the most. And real estate is one of the most asset-intense sector. And debt financing conditions, especially on liquid markets for those asset-intense sectors, they changed dramatically. And on the left-hand chart, you can basically see that the red line reflects the bond market yield for real estate funds and real estate companies in Europe, how they can borrow, at what cost they can borrow. And the other lines are basically the real estate deals, the yields on real estate deals, what those funds have made during the past, whatever there is, 10-15 years. And as long as basically the business works in a way that the red line should be below the other colored lines. Otherwise, your costs are higher than your income. And a lot of deals in Europe were locked in the expectation that interest rates will stay 0 or close to 0 for decades and decades. And when the bond financing conditions changed, then actually a lot of European real estate funds ran into trouble. And it's perhaps best reflected here. It shows that how the market sees what is the outlook for listed European real estate funds. They are trading today at 40% discount to their price to book value, meaning that the market basically expects that there will be a lot of dividend cuts, probably also some forced selling. The good thing about the Estonian Baltics is that here in the real estate sector, the bond market financing is not very commonly used. We have only very few players who use bond market financing, and as a result, I don't see that it will be a systematic issue here. But still, debts need to be refinanced, and I am pretty sure that with new refinancing rounds here, we will also see that the corporate real estate market will adjust downwards. How much? I don't know. So far, what we have seen is that since summer, there have been basically no big deals in the corporate real estate market. The sellers are still stuck with a return expectation of maybe 5-6%. But at the same time, a lot of investors, they are pricing their investments based on the risk-free interest rate, which in the Baltics used to be around 1 a year ago. Now it's around 4. And in this environment, it's actually for me very difficult to understand who is willing to go to the real estate deal if the return expectation is still 5 or 6, when at the same time you can go for a risk-free investment at the interest rate of 4%. So basically what I think is that we will have a year where not too many deals will be done. Those who can wait for selling will wait. Will wait for the when there is more clarity where the sort of short-term interest rates will land, what will be the, so to say, terminal level, and only after that we are going to see some adjustment in the prices and where the new equilibrium will be found. So what has EFTEN done in such an environment? We did our last deal. We bought in, I think it was March, April last year. It was the nursery home. We have also a representative here. We bought into a nursery home, and we haven't made any purchases since then. We have placed a few bids, but to our best understanding, none of those transactions have been conducted. So which clearly shows that the sellers and buyers are currently, or they currently have different return expectations. Instead, what we did last year, we focused a lot on the retail side, on the funds oriented towards retail clients. We managed to merge 2 funds, one which is already listed on currently Nasdaq Stock Exchange here in the Baltics, and this will be merged with another fund, EFTEN Kinnisvara Fund, the first fund that EFTEN launched back in 2008, and this together they will become a top 10 market cap company in Nasdaq Baltic. So sort of in top 10 there will be a real estate fund in the Nasdaq Baltic Stock Exchange. I'm not sure how much does it talk about us. Maybe it talks more about the Nasdaq Baltic Stock Exchange, that in the top 10 there is a real estate fund, but everyone can judge by itself. The main idea of that one is, of course, that sort of with that size, with equity capital of 225 million and assets a bit below 400 million, if sort of the real estate outlook becomes better visible, then at this size it will be also already visible probably outside the Baltics, and it could open up opportunities to raise capital also from outside the Baltics. The other thing what we have been focusing on and what we are focusing also now is that that although it's sort of everybody is expecting or although there is no basically deal activity taking place in corporate real estate market, then the side effect of it is that there is also not much demand for construction activity, and we currently see that that's the time when we can fix construction contracts. And we have a few development projects. I have listed 4 here. 3 of them are rental houses, rental businesses, and one is the development project close to Tallinn, where we are basically financing a development project of detached houses. And also we are developing the nursery home. That's also sort of, we see it as a development project, and it is currently fairly favorable to lock in construction contracts and construction costs. We raised last year only from retail. We raised 15 million, and we have today uninvested, I think roughly 35 million euros. I don't see that we will raise a new fund during the first half of the year. I think sort of time to raise the fund comes when there is better visibility where the terminal interest rates will land. Then also sort of it will give more confidence from potential investor base. But what I definitely see is that we are looking sort of deal by deal approaches. That if we see interesting investment opportunity, then we are actually open to go into this and to try to raise money sort of on a deal by deal approach during the first half of the year. And the second half of the year, if then the visibility on the real estate market becomes better, then maybe it's time to start to think about new funds as well. That's it.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Yes.
Chris, I'm wondering, it's more like a general question that often do your investors expect exiting at all, or you just take cash flows and keep the assets forever?
I think it depends. As I said, we had quite different funds. That we have funds oriented towards retail clients and we have funds oriented towards institutional clients. And retail clients, most of them can exit on a daily basis, sort of on the funds listed on the stock exchange. So that's no issue there. Regarding the funds targeting mainly institutional investors, I think it's very fund specific in the sense that I think I can say that we are happy in the sense that we have a very sensible and business-oriented investor base. That sort of if they see that it's not sort of good time to exit, then they don't really push for that you should really now exit, doesn't matter what. So I'd say it's sort of fund by fund approach, really.
All right, thank you, Christian. And next up, we have Super Angel, Kari Kink, for presenting them. Floor is yours, and the slides are ready. Kuidas soovid?
Klikker on.
Aga klikkerit ka või? Okay. Are you gonna change the slides yourself or can I have the clicker? Okay, hi everybody, my name is Kari and I will give an overview what 2022 looked like for Super Angel. Just to put the name together with the faces, this is what we look today. We have two partners, Marko and Veljo, and notably I would like to point out Jaan, who joined us this year. He joined us from Swedbank, and previous to that he was also in CodeJuffy, in a couple of startups. So it's really, really good to have him on board. He will be our analyst, or he is our analyst already, and he will make sure that our portfolio management scales together with our fund as well. And we have quite some firepower in the face of our venture partners, Diana, Rain, Gert, Marek, and Mikko. But in terms of the portfolio, around 820 million was raised by our portfolio. That was largely driven by major rounds raised by Bolt and Veriff, but also Starship. And other notable rounds were raised by Montonio, for example, who raised a very competitive Series A from Index. And also Bob W, similarly, very competitive Series A, around 20 million euros were raised. And we had 2 exits. One of them is unannounced, and one of them was Nordigan, based out in Latvia. Last year, we also announced our new fund. The first fund is completely invested, and we decided to share 5% of our carried interest with our network. And this stems strongly from how we have existed so far. Our best investments have come from our network. We have a strong community of current operators in some of the success stories in Estonia. We have industry experts helping out our portfolio companies. We put industry experts also inside of our portfolio companies for longer periods of time to help them scale their processes. You don't always have to hire, and it's not even feasible at first, senior talent, but their expertise is very, very welcomed in these early stages. And we have wonderful founders in the portfolio who we use to mentor our younger founders, and these are the sort of relationships and actions we want to facilitate within the fund. We see it as super important, and therefore we decided that our success is shared with the people who contribute towards it. And our venture partner agreements are also based on Go's platform. But in generally, the second fund is similar to the first fund. We will be investing into AI and robotics, mobility and logistics, fintech and SaaS. Very early stage, have been the first backers of majority of the companies in our portfolio, and we will continue to do so. But notably, we will be investing and looking for deep tech opportunities here in Estonia. So research-based technology and companies building defensible, unique technology is something that we're very much looking to invest in this region. But in addition to launching a new fund, and we have also made a couple of first investments from the new fund, we have identified a couple of areas where we see that there's room for improvement in the ecosystem. So a couple of bigger initiatives that we continued or launched this year. One of them is Science Base Camp. It's an initiative to bring capital closer to deep tech companies, which is why we collaborated with 10 universities in the Nordics and in Estonia. So we gathered 21 teams building research-based technology, and we also gathered 25 deep tech investors across Europe. We brought them together to University of Aalto, and we had this day full of mentoring and investor meetings. And this is, in our opinion, very important initiative to bring closer the Nordic innovation and mindset to Estonia as well, and also to draw attention to these companies for easier access to capital. Second area, we think that there's excellent tech talent in the ecosystem, but we do lack a little bit of commercial knowledge. I think marketeers and salespeople are the most sought after experts by our startups. And to address that, we launched, I think, one of our most successful initiatives, which is Growth Marketing Summit. We had to turn people away with over 100 people coming to the event to listen 7 best marketeers, in our opinion, in their region, which I think highlights the the strong need for that expertise in the ecosystem. And lastly, we kicked off I think quite a unique initiative where I went to a portfolio company called Koos for this summer. I spent 3 months there. It's called a VC secondment, where essentially I just integrated with the team. I reminded myself what it's like to be in an early stage startup, and then came back with the learnings. And this is something that we probably continue doing these years as well, and maybe with our new people. And I think that's about it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kari. Thank you, Kari, for this good overview. So I will first turn to the audience. I have a question myself, but do we have any questions from the audience coming to Kari? Still modest Baltic people. So I would like to ask you one question about another angle a bit. We're seeing a lot of super angel recruiting new people. So what has been this process like? Is it sort of easy to find people to work for a fund? How's the interest been? Who are the people, and so on?
We kicked off 2 positions. One was an analyst where Jan joined us, and then another one is ongoing for an associate position. I think we were putting a lot of effort to diversify the pipeline of the candidates, and it worked out. I think we had over 100 candidates from 22 countries with a very even split between male and female. I think that's a very good indicator of sort of approachability of the fund, but also that sort of conscious effort to go out to new networks works, and also that there's a lot of interest outside of Estonia and outside of Baltics to come and work for these funds, and in general sort of come and work in the sector. And the second position is currently ongoing, and we have seen very similar results on that.
Thank you. So in case we don't have any additional questions, thank you, Kari. And we have now Iron Wolf Capital joining us online, right? No? Okay. We do have, so I guess we have Kasparas, who hopefully can hear us. And soon we can see him too.
Can you hear me?
Super. Welcome to our event. And I guess you can start. Yeah, hi. You can start.
So first of all, hi to everyone. Apologies for not being able to join you in person. I was too optimistic in my planning for today. This is the third already event for me, and the first 2 were in Vilnius. So apologies again, but hopefully you can hear me well and see me well. Yeah. Okay, we can go to the next slide. I think we know the name of the event. Thank you. So I'll be brief. Also a bit wary of the internet. So just to recap on Iron Wolf Capital, we're building the investment firm with a clear focus on the region being the Baltics. First of all, because we are, as the core team, originated from this region, but also because we believe in the fundamental thesis that the Baltics have probably the most competitive opportunity to invest in the asset class that we are focusing on. It's the 3rd year that we are pan-Baltic, making at least one investment in each of the countries, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Something I think is either haven't been achieved or have been rarely achieved. So I think this is a proud thing for us to be committed to all 3 countries and actually putting the money where the word is. We have continued, despite the situation in the global financial markets, to be amongst the most active early stage investors. The year before we did 10 new deals. Last year we did 6 new investments and many follow-ons. And I think despite again the situation, and we continue to deliver on our also one of the core promises when we set up the fund is to improve the international fundraising possibilities for our portfolio companies and for the ecosystem more generally. So last year, two of our portfolio companies raised Series Rockad and Lit. Rockad raised Series A round from DNX Ventures and other Silicon Valley funds. Lit Series A round was led by Taiwania Capital, which is a Palo Alto with strong links to Taiwanese ecosystem. And Lit is one of our deep tech companies building high power femtosecond laser technologies and have, I think, very good prospects and synergies with the Taiwanese high-tech industries going forward. That means that our graduation rate, something that I think investors look at the early portfolios, has reached now 40% from C to Series A. Just a comparison, the European average is around 25%. We hope to reach better still this year. Next slide. Yeah, so as mentioned, 6 new investments. The main themes, we have been pretty disciplined over the years of delivering on our strategy, which was predominantly pre-seed. Again, looking at the situation in the global markets, I think it made even more sense to commit to the same strategy in looking for teams at the very early stage. Our DNA has always been more towards deep tech than other business models or technologies. So out of the 6 new investments, I think more than half you would call deep tech. In particularly, the Latvian startup Squadix is a robotics startup that is automating the warehouse machinery. Kingdom is an Estonian founded startup now located in Glasgow, a proud co-investor with the Estonian ecosystem funds. Kingdom is building the commercial grade autonomous robots for mowing. Both companies were pre-seed investments, but already in 2022 have gone past the product market fit and starting to generate first revenue. Squad Robotics with the partnerships with German manufacturers, Kingdom, the huge US market. Another interesting company, and I think that will do very well, is a company called RepSense with very experienced management from Lithuania, international experience as well. They have identified the lack of technological approach to online reputation management. So they're building the huge AI model to address this gap for both small and large enterprises and finally be able to substitute, or actually for many small and medium-sized companies to, for the first time, to offer the opportunity to understand what their CEOs and their reputation online is, and start a targeted approach towards improving or changing it in the future. The other theme that we doubled down in 2022 was, broadly speaking, future of work. A company called Traxlow is an Antler Accelerator graduate from Sweden with Lithuanian founders. They have decided that they can change one of the largest industries, being grocery retail, and apply the gig economy to that market. Already with traction with major retailers in Lithuania and Poland. Talking about gig economy, DeepFin is a fintech company that brings the account management and invoicing automation for the gig workers, particularly needed for those workers who work on multiple platforms. Space, another company from Antler acceleration program, this time from Norway, again with roots from Lithuania. One of the co-founders is a Lithuanian. They are addressing the changes in the urban PropTech market, in particular the small to medium size warehouse needs for the likes of new economy players like dark stores, scooter companies, and similar. The first markets are the Scandinavian markets, and again doing very well since our investment in June. Slide. A few words about the core portfolio or the existing portfolio. So in the 3.5 years that we're in the market, we now have 22 companies, as mentioned, pre-seed or pre-product market fit companies at the entry. In 2022, some of the key metrics of the portfolio are that 70% grew their ARR more than 2 times. Of those, 50% of the companies grew more than 3 times, in some cases, impressively, more than 10 times. 3 companies turned profitable, something that I think is very important, a new metric going forward. 9 companies crossed the 1 million ARR milestone. I think in general, despite again the market conditions, the companies have been performing, and as a portfolio, I think we are at the very good base to deliver the results for our investors. Next slide.
Sorry, we need to continue with our agenda. There's other co-founders also wanting to represent. So thank you very much. And unfortunately, due to the time constraint, we can't ask any questions also from you. So next up, we have a founding partner of Karma Ventures joining us, Kristjan Lanemaa. Please come here, and the stage is yours.
Okay, I'll use it this way, maybe it's better. So hey, I'm Kristjan, partner at Karma. When the slides go up, yes, I can quickly go through them. So this is the picture, which is pretty much similar that I showed last year. This is showing where we are coming from and where we are currently. So me and Margus started together at Ambient in 2008, and now it's immediately like 15 years later that we are here. And one message that I wanted to deliver here is that venture can be a very long cycle asset class. Like in Ambient portfolio, we still have 1 company left, and it's this first investment from that portfolio was made in 2005, so now it's 18 years. Of course, we had the luxury of doing kind of a long cycle because it was a family office and there was no fund deadline. But interestingly, like some of the best exits happened in years like 16, 17. So it actually made sense to wait there. And then with Karma Ventures 1, we have finished the investment period like 2 years ago, but the portfolio still has 13 active investments. Sorry, 11 active investments. We have done 4 exits and shut down 1 company. And then the current fund out of which we are making new investments is Karma Ventures 2, which we launched in 2021. And I'm going to show you some new investments that we made out of that fund. One message that I wanted to deliver with this one is that I'm really excited now to see that the strategy that we set out to do really works. Like after kind of working on ambient portfolio, we together with Margus, and then when Tommy joined us together with Tommy as well, we wanted to start investing in deep tech companies because we had seen that those ones have really good exit probability, and now we are seeing this all working. That even in cases when you can't make the business to scale, you can still exit the companies and sell most of the portfolio, and we are now witnessing it. We have exited the companies from Fund 1 and have really good prospects on some of the companies in Fund 1. So great to see that the idea that you conceived some years ago starts to work really well. On team side, we have 2 additions in 2022, Arthen and Marianne, both actually in 2023 because they joined in early this year. And we are now altogether 8 people in the team. Probably will hire 1 or 2 more into the investment team. And then Technology Advisory Board continues being the same, really big support for our investment activities, and happy to have them on board. On the portfolio activity side, multiple companies in our Fund 1 portfolio raised really good B rounds in 2022, like Minut, Infomedica, Lucinity. And then out of Fund 2, we made 4 new investments, 2 in cybersecurity field, Cybexer and Before AI. And then Druid is in enterprise software space doing conversational business application product, and Estonian company Jobatical, which is automating the employee relocations. Interestingly, like 2 first ones for our funds. We have a first investment in Romania and first investment in France. Yeah, really kind of good to see that our geographic coverage is also expanding. But maybe that's, yeah, shortly, keeping it short. So.
We don't have time for questions at the moment, but later you can approach Christian if he stays here, so you can discuss with him later or send an email. So now I would like to ask Kristina on stage from Livonia Partners. I'm so happy you traveled to Tallinn for the event. And the floor is yours with the clicker, and you can see your slides from here.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Kristina Bersinga from Livonia Partners. I understand I'm doing it on double speed, right? No questions now. So we have been investing since 2015. We are the only fund who does only private equity in the Baltics. And somehow we do believe in focus. Right now we manage 240 million assets. Somehow this number did not make the slide. And the launched second fund in 2021 and held the final close last year, which obviously for us was one of the major year's events with a size of almost 160 million. Right, is this better? Better. Yeah, and the sort of our preferred kind of, or our strategy is all about supporting companies, mostly Baltic companies, in like growth stage. By growth stage, meaning also mature companies, but which still have strong growth potential. We're investing anything between, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 million up to 25 per company, and can do minority or majority positions. And kind of sector-wise, this is just kind of a snapshot of one of our historical pipelines, kind of, but naturally we developed into being specialist manufacturing investors and also technology. TMT is a very strong theme in our portfolio. Yeah, that's our investment evolution. 8 companies in first fund, 4 exited at this point, and 3 investments from fund 2. But what's maybe interesting, there are 11 companies on the slide, but we have done, in relation to these companies altogether, we have done, I think, more than 21 or 22 deals. So buy and build is a very strong theme in our strategy. The team, we still are very privileged to have to be able to fit the team on one page. So again, it's more about focus and sort of being a very tight and close team. We had, last year also has been actually amazing in terms of team evolution. We have started investing in 2015, and we have promoted 2 colleagues to partnership last year. Those 2 colleagues were like employees number 1 and number 2 in the fund, which was just, I think, amazing for the team, and to see how people with dedication and ambition can progress at Livonia. And the other thing I wanted to mention, which is somewhat relevant for this audience, we are recruiting. We are recruiting a senior investment professional in Estonia right now, since we see actually the market opportunities in Estonia. There is a wealth of market opportunities in Estonia which we are not addressing fully, and we would like to be much more focused on Estonian market. So shortly, last year, so new fund, 157 million, 2 exits and 2 new investments, but also 2 add-ons for our existing portfolio company, and a huge team evolution. Also, our very strong ESG lead joined us last year with previous experience at H&M and Vinted. And our approach to ESG has evolved into not only compliance and reporting, to actually making investments which, among other things, still we are a private equity investor, but the investments also partly addressing the environmental issues and climate change issues. So we have kind of made the promise to ourselves and to our investors that at least around 16 million across portfolio companies will go into environmental projects. So that's us.
You can approach Kristina later after the event. So now I would like to ask Rando from Siena Secondary Fund to join me on stage. And the request from the online listeners or the video team is to speak quite closely to the mic, otherwise they cannot hear very well. And the clicker is...
1, 2, 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
There's the clicker in case you have many slides.
I have actually 2 slides, so I can spare you guys. So I think, well, there's a bunch of you who have been operating funds, I think, 10 plus years, but we are, I think, the youngest kid on the block, and with quite a unique strategy. So doing VC secondaries, which hasn't been the case before, as there wasn't any market. So we launched the fund 2 years ago. So this last year was our second year. We did our final close at the end of the year. Committed capital 70 million, together with our co-investment funds. And so far, I mean, the investor base has been quite interesting. We have managed to get close to 90 LPs across the region, but also elsewhere. I mean, startup ecosystem members, but also the old industry, businessmen, family offices, and on top of them, Isomer Capital as a fund of fund, as an institutional investor. So we're kind of proud of that achievement. But at the same time, we have built the portfolio. So we have 7 positions. And last year we did 3 new ones, Verif from Estonia, Crew from Sweden, and Printify from Latvia. So altogether we have now covered the Baltic states nicely. We have 1 investment in Sweden. Hopefully we can have something from Finland and Poland as well. Then we can cover the kind of around the Baltic Sea more or less nicely. What else? Last year, I mean, besides of doing business, we also wanted to give a bit of back to the community. So we, second year in a row, we, together with the Prudential advisor, we helped to put together the top tech, most valuable technology companies in Estonia. So if you haven't checked it out, go and check toptech.ee, and you can see the kind of what was in 2021 and what was in 2022, how the kind of names changed there, and who were the newcomers. But I think more important is why we are doing it, what we are doing it, and I don't know how many of you know something called about the tech flywheel. So basically the concept is that once somebody is getting an exit, the exit money flows back to the ecosystem. And not only the money, but also the know-how. And the concept was introduced by Atomico, and now it's kind of a well spread out in the ecosystem, everybody uses it. But we see it is happening with the secondary fund as well. We're kind of speeding up the kind of recycling of the capital. So as many you said, I think Christian said that for already 18 years holding still one of the positions. So we're coming in the mid time of the fund lifetime and helping to kind of provide the liquidity. And we can see from the first fund already that it has a socio-economical impact as well. We have half of the investors who came to our fund are new money, because they see the first time that the risk reward is actually acceptable for them. So they don't want to go too early to early stage VC, but coming in a bit later, they kind of accept the risk. And secondly, what we see is really valuable is that the ones from who we are buying the stakes, the money goes actually back. So it's not just a hypothesis, but it's actually happening. 70% of those from whom we have bought have invested back into the VCs, startups, or launching their own startups. So for example, just one early employee in Verif just made a quote that it gave him kind of a buffer to kind of launch his new startup. On top of that, we know separate one person who used the money to become a VC and use it for the GP commit. So I think that's a kind of impact, kind of showing that the secondaries have the impact and are valuable for the ecosystem. So that's about it, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Now we have Senior Associate of Specialist VC joining us, Samela Kivila. And the clicker. Ah, yes.
So hi, I'm Samela from Specialist VC. Here's a brief recap of our fund. It's our second fund. Just as a reminder, we were United Angels with our first fund, but we rebranded. We just a few weeks ago, we had our final close of 50 million for Specialist VC. We are rather industry agnostic. We invest from SaaS to deep tech. One might then ask then, why are we called specialist if we are such a generic fund? I would say it's because it's our broad LP investor base, which has a lot of successful founders and industry experts or specialists who are a great value add, definitely. Geography-wise, we invest into the Baltics, Finland, and Ukraine, and that is companies and/or founders. And our initial tickets are quite common to other like early stage funds. We invest into pre-seed to Series A. Why there's a plus in the brackets is that we can make up to 1/3 of the fund, we can invest into secondary deals as well. So that's perhaps one special thing about us. We've been actively investing for a year now. We had our first close pretty much 12 months ago, and we made 13 investments. 4 of them are secondaries, and majority of the whole portfolio is actually B2B. So that's also something that's really common to us historically as well. And in 2022, we had quite a lot changes to the team. I would actually start with the freshest news is that Kaspar Hanni joined us as a partner. He actually his official first day was yesterday, and he was previously a member of the management board in Express Group, so he has really good expertise in the media vertical, subscription services, and M&A transactions. So we're really happy to welcome him on board. And what is also important about our team is that we value diversity. And we believe that great innovation requires a multidisciplinary approach, which means that besides the investment team of 5 that we have also a component of both science and art. As to science, we are very happy that we have Tõnu as our scientific advisor. Tõnu is a human genomics professor at Tartu University, and he has really good expertise in biotech, deep tech, of course, genomics. And when it comes to art, then this year we launched a really interesting initiative called Creator in Residence. And what this means essentially is that every year a creator, it can be an artist or a musician, a poet, a dancer, joins our team part-time to help our portfolio companies think outside of the box. And what is the hypothesis behind that is perhaps that both entrepreneurs and creators, they have some mutual characteristics. They have to constantly come up with new solutions, and they also have to be hardworking and consistent. So there's definitely a bridge, the gap between business and art. And maybe a broader message we want to give to the society is also that there are some disciplines, such as art, that do not have to be only dependent on the public sector. So we believe that art should be integrated into all sectors. Yeah, and this year, Creator in Residence is Marko Madam, a really internationally renowned Estonian artist, working with the mediums of photography, sculptures, paintings, text, and many more. And we are really excited to see where this goes. So this was the update from our side. Thank you.
Thanks so much, and thank you for bringing this innovative new concept into the funds world as well. Again, I will not give time for questions, just to be conscious of everybody's time. So now I will ask on stage our freshest, newest member, Startup Wise Guys. They joined, I think, a few weeks back. And I have Alexandra now coming on stage. The clicker is here, and you can introduce yourself, right? I think you should hold it because it's better on the online to hear it.
Thank you, and good to be here. And I will actually start from, I will introduce myself because probably, while most of you, I guess, know Startup Wise Guys, but not everyone know who am I here. So I will, and I was also overexcited creating a presentation while Rando had 2 slides. I have 18, so I will try to skip half of them. So basically, I work with startups for the past 8 years, and 5 out of those years I work with full-time with Startup Wise Guys. But the chances are that you didn't know me because I moved to Estonia only this spring. I'm from Ukraine, and I've been working from there while I was in Estonia multiple times before, but I never lived here. So right now it's actually for me a very exciting moment to be on stage and to say, hey, I'm here, I actually live here, and I would love to establish more connections. Yeah, and out of these 5 years, more than a year ago, I was invited. I'm pleased to join Wise Guys team as a general partner. And I'm also sharing an operational role as a head of portfolio. So that's about me. About Wise Guys as such, most of you know us, I guess. We're a B2B early stage accelerator, and this slide specifically is just designed purely to show a bit of our activity in the past years. So you see that in the past 4 years we've been more active than in the first 6 years of our lifetime existence. So a few more numbers. We have currently 13 exits, and we've invested in 344 startups. On the previous slide, there was a number 375. That's including those who are still in the process of signing deals, creating the companies, opening bank accounts. So currently in the portfolio is 375 startups, but 344 did receive money on their bank accounts. We run 38 batches. We try to keep our focus as not the focus, but approach as boutique as possible. So one batch is approximately 10 startups. So last year we ran actually 10 batches in 2022. Geography-wise, we're quite in many countries. We have large team, and we run some operations in multiple of them. We're originally from Tallinn, and this is our biggest hub. We have actually an office in EBS on the last floor, sharing the same floor with colleagues as well. And so if you're in Tallinn, you can come join us and see how we're doing there. But 3 markets out of these geographies that you see, we actually opened also in 2022. So Spain, Romania, and Africa. So we actually also run online operations in Africa starting from this year, from the previous year. I will skip that. Surprise, I think it's important to mention, while we are naturally and originally known as a pre-seed accelerator fund, we do many more things. We actually always thought of how to create an ecosystem A to Z of creating or helping founders become entrepreneurs from as early as possible and throughout the whole lifetime journey. And that's why we actually run also a pre-revenue program, which is free of charge and online for those who are not ready to receive investments. We do summer school for students called Young Entrepreneurs. We just launched the Founders Club for C-level executives who want to maybe change their boring corporate job and join something fun and maybe create their own business. And we're just launching right now this year Angel Investors Academy. My time to breathe in and breathe out before throwing more numbers into you, actually talking about 2022. So in 2022, we invested more than 9 million in 120 startups, and 86 startups out of those were pre-seed. We ran 10 full-time accelerator batches. Our largest ticket, there were a couple of those, was 200,000 euros, including we led, for us, it was, I guess, the first ever deal when when we led a round for Yaga, which was the direct deal. And usually we lead only the accelerator type deals. And the two startups, fun fact, were already closed over the period of time out of those 120 receiving investments. In total, our portfolio in last year raised more than 200 million euros. And some of the deals were quite loud on the market. Ready Player Me raised from Andersen and Horowitz. Montonio raised from Index Ventures. Katana from Axel. And of course, by statistics, a few, like 20% of companies hold the most of the 200 million mentioned on the previous slide. So 5 main winners raised something around 170 million in total last year. We have 13 exits in total over these years, and 7 were done in the previous year. I think it's also important milestone because we're 10 years. Last year we celebrated our 10th year anniversary, and actually next week we'll be celebrating our 11th. So if you are in Tallinn, talk to me and I will tell you where to find us to celebrate. We do have 5 actually funds open currently fundraising. The generalist one is Challenger 2. It's aimed to be at 20 million, and we're halfway through the fundraising process. While from that half, we already invested in 75 startups, and 4 more funds are open. Opportunity 1 to invest in the best performing deals, cybersecurity, fintech, and Africa as a separate fund. And that's it. So that's how we fit all the team on one slide. Otherwise, it's impossible as we are now 65 people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next up, we have Andrus Oks from Tera Ventures. Please join us on the stage. And the slides will be ready in a second. Yes.
Hey, I'm Andrus. So what did we do last year? Yeah, so this is our team. The main change in the team, we got Eamon on board. So he was previously for 6 years managing Techstars London and New York programs, and yeah, we've actually known him for last 8 years, mostly via board position in Linguist. So I think it's pretty big development from our team perspective. We also expanded our venture partner network. Very proud and happy to have Karin and David join us as well. So and yeah, obviously James shifted from a partner position to venture partner. He's still managing his portfolio and yeah, with us, but contributing less time as well. Yeah, so. In our fund 2, we are now at 18 portfolio companies. The first row is the new ones, and one is missing, which hasn't been announced yet. So yeah, we did have first exit, which is Snackable, and first write-off, which is Brainbase. Major fundraisers both happen to be in our main industry focus area as well. Fintech, Moniz raising this 35 million from HBSC, and it's actually the money is maybe not even the most important thing here. So this deal actually validates the B2B side of Moniz, which puts them in a very special position amongst those European neobanks, and yeah, they will grow in revenue fast and reach profitability this year with this B2B angle. So and yeah, Montonio, raised it from Index. Mentioning some of the portfolio companies that are either new or fundraising. So Podcards, they've achieved something very special. So massive revenue growth actually. So we are preparing for proper Series A there. Very proud of that company. In the cybersec field, we have another portfolio company, Polish deal, SEC also preparing for fundraise later this year. We have 2 Swedish deals. Multiply is a SaaS builder using this generative AI as well, and yeah, currently started to fundraise quite early with that. And Stackend preparing for fundraise quite soon. Would certainly mention Rendin. It's actually not easy to briefly tell what they are doing. So, but yeah, the point indeed is that they are actually helping both sides of the marketplace, which is actually a pretty unique proposition. They've honed this model well in the Estonian market, great unit economics already, and yeah, they will soon reach proper unit economics in Poland as well. So yeah, it's a deal that will happen pretty soon. A bit about outlook for this year. We believe that this will be one of the greatest vintage years in VC actually. So and yeah, perhaps you have noticed we've actually committed to invest into the winner of Latitude together with EstVCA, and I think it's a both lucrative and a good thing to do. So I think you all should consider joining us for the future syndicates and support Latitude, obviously, in other ways as well. Yeah. Thank you.
I must say we're so on time that I can even ask you my one question I prepared. Okay. You had your first write-off last year, right? So what would be the learning points from that?
Quite sorry about that deal. I sort of personally feel pretty bad about it. We tried to save them. Our money didn't matter at that level anymore. So the main learning point is that we actually have sort of included that into our sort of playbook. That if you raise money from this absolute top-notch US investor, you need to be aware that, you need to, stay on this trajectory. So the company actually grew in revenue twofold by the end of last year. So, sorry, by the end of 2021. But this wasn't enough. So 2 times revenue growth is not enough. So it's like, and if you have this, brand name investor who is not following up, the signaling effect is so bad that you probably will not survive. So, so it's a big learning point actually. Yeah. So.
Thanks. So you can continue with Andrus later, but we have our last presentation coming. So that would be Peter from Trind Ventures. Welcome. Here's the clicker.
All right. Hello from me. First off, thank you, Kadri and EstVCA, for bringing us all together here today. Always nice to see what other funds are up to. From Trind's side, 3 topics or 3 updates. First off, Fund 1. So Fund 1, the vintage year is 2018, and this year, or 2022, the investment period ended with the launch of the new fund. We made 22 investments from the first one, and to 8 countries, and 7 of the 7 companies were from Estonia. From the up rounds, then the biggest news were the B rounds, and then there was several smaller rounds. From Fund 2, that we started Fund 2 now in September 2022. It's 55 million seed stage fund. We focus on community or consumer driven business models. This mainly means three types of companies. First, direct-to-consumer solutions, then marketplaces, and third one is B2B solutions when the growth is led by product-led growth. Our core focus, our home markets are still Baltics and Finland, but we look all over EU. Initial tickets can range between 100,000 to 1 million. Usually average would be around 500,000, and we could potentially follow on up to 5 million per company. From the second fund, we have done 5 investments. 3 of them are announced. Webel was announced today. So in Estonia, we have Jaga, second-hand fashion marketplace. We have Exceed. Exceed is a knife life technology company, and the Webel is a Madrid-based services marketplace. And third one is team update. We have 2 new team members, Liis and Irina. They joined us also in September. Liis has strong statistics background, and Irina has previously worked in 2 startups in client relations and sales side. Now our total team is 9 people. Most of us are based here in Tallinn, but we have Kimmo and Reimo who are based in Helsinki, and Taavi who is based in Munich. So that's really short about us and our year. Thank you.
So I have still a question. Do you see clean tech as something important to focus on this year or in general?
We focus only on software companies. So when it comes to clean tech, then yes, we are looking solutions that should make the world a bit more sustainable. Even Jaga, second-hand fashion, makes a huge difference. But yeah, as we don't do hardware and deep tech, then some of the clean tech side is not for us. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So it's a wrap. Thanks everyone for coming and joining us online. People have asked whether the recording will be available. Yes, we will share it shortly after the event. Not sure about how we will share also the slides. Have to discuss that with the funds. You also had one message about our website, yeah?
Yes, so we've updated our website. If you haven't checked it out, please do, especially events section. So if your fund has some sort of event you want others to participate as well, then please share it with us. We have a plugin there where you can see calendar of all sorts of industry events. So yes, send an email to me or Kadri.
She's the plugger. So thanks, and let's now mix and mingle.